Does their jealousy ever feel less like passion and more like a problem? Do you have to constantly report where you are just to prove you're being honest? We're taught that love is supposed to be this intense, all-consuming force. But what if that intensity isn't love at all? What if it's a prison disguised as a fairy tale? A cage built with bars of affection where your freedom is slowly chipped away, all in the name of love. That's what we're breaking down today. We're uncovering 7 signs that their love is actually a pattern of control and how it's systematically damaging your self-worth. It almost always starts like a dream. They shower you with attention, praise, and what feels like the purest love imaginable. This is love bombing, and it's intoxicating. You feel seen, adored, and completely cherished. But then, so subtly you can barely notice, the rules start to change. The same intensity that felt like a warm hug now feels like a boa constrictor. This is the classic sign of what psychologists call coercive control, a pattern of behaviors used to dominate you, make you dependent, and slowly steal your autonomy. It's not one big dramatic fight, it's a slow drip of little things that on their own might seem like nothing. A small criticism about your outfit, a request for you to skip a night out with friends. But over time, these actions build a prison around you, one brick at a time. The most dangerous part? It's all done under the banner of love, which makes it incredibly hard to see. You might find yourself defending them, thinking they're just protective or they have trust issues from their past. You might even start to believe you're the problem. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on these manipulative tactics. This isn't about painting anyone as a villain, but about shining a light on a dangerous dynamic that can trap anyone. By understanding these signs, you can start to reclaim your power, your reality, and yourself. We're going to walk through 7 specific behaviors that aren't passionate love. They're red flags of a controlling relationship. Recognizing them is the first and most important step to getting free. The first sign is so easy to mistake for caring. The constant check-ins. Your phone is always buzzing. It's them again. Where are you? Who are you with? When are you coming home? At first you probably thought it was sweet. They just missed you. But now you get that sinking feeling in your stomach when their name pops up. You feel this pressure, almost a low-level panic, to reply immediately. If you don't, you know what's coming. A flood of texts, a string of missed calls, and an icy, accusatory tone when you finally answer. Let's be real. This isn't care. This is surveillance. It's a tactic to monitor and manage your every move. It creates a system where you have to account for all your time, which slowly chips away at your independence. Every text you feel forced to answer, every photo you're told to send to prove where you are is just another brick in that prison wall. It screams a total lack of trust and treats you not like a partner, but like a possession to be tracked. The psychological toll is huge. It trains you to be constantly on edge, always thinking about their anxiety instead of your own peace. You start policing yourself. Maybe you skip that spontaneous coffee with a friend because you just don't have the energy for the interrogation that will follow. Your world starts to get smaller, not because they're yelling no, but because it's just exhausting to manage their endless need for information. This isn't love, it's about power. It's about making sure they are the sun and you are just a planet in their orbit. The second sign is that classic green-eyed monster, jealousy, but it's framed as proof of how much they love you. With a controlling partner, any attention you give to anyone else, a friend, your mom, a coworker, is seen as a betrayal. They'll say things like, I just love you so much, I can't stand the thought of anyone else getting your attention. Or they'll fly into a rage because you shared a friendly laugh with a barista. This isn't a normal, occasional twinge of jealousy. This is obsessive possessiveness. This behavior is really a tool for isolation. A controlling person knows, whether they admit it or not, that your friends and family are your lifeline. They're the ones who can see things clearly from the outside and say, hey, this doesn't feel right. By creating drama around these relationships, the controller cuts you off from your support system one by one. They'll find fault with your best friend, insist your family hates them, or throw a fit every time you're in a social setting. After a while, it just feels easier to stay home. The price of dealing with your partner's accusations, sulking, or anger just becomes too high. And that is exactly what they want. By cutting you off from the outside world, they make you completely dependent on them for validation, company, and your entire sense of reality. They become your everything because they've made sure there's nothing else left. That isn't passion. It's a calculated plan to take over your world, leaving you trapped and alone with them. Sign number 3 is sneaky and incredibly damaging. The endless stream of helpful advice that always feels more like a put-down. This is the partner who critiques what you wear, your job, your hobbies, even your friends, all while saying they just want what's best for you. They'll say, I'm only telling you this because I love you, but that outfit doesn't really do you any favors. Or, are you sure you can handle that promotion? It sounds like a lot of stress. They have a knack for downplaying your achievements or making you feel like you're just never quite good enough. This isn't helpful feedback. It's a strategy to crush your self-esteem. If a partner can make you believe you're not smart enough, not attractive enough, and not capable enough to make your own decisions, you become more and more dependent on them for approval. Their voice becomes your own inner critic. You start second-guessing every move you make, from what you have for lunch to whether you should apply for a new job. Think about the long-term damage here. Your confidence gets chipped away until you feel like a ghost of your former self. You might abandon your dreams because you've been taught to believe you'll fail anyway. You stop expressing yourself because it's easier than facing their criticism. You make yourself smaller to fit into the tiny box they've designed for you. Real love helps you grow. It doesn't try to prune you down to a more manageable size. This behavior makes sure your self-worth is so tied to their opinion that leaving them feels like abandoning the only person who can fix all your supposed flaws. We're about to get into the next signs, which cover some of the most hidden and powerful forms of control. If any of this is starting to hit a little too close to home, please take a second to hit the like button. It tells us that this topic is important, and it helps the algorithm get this video to someone else out there who might be feeling just as lost and confused. You never know who you could be helping. And if you want to keep learning about how to build relationships that are genuinely healthy and empowering, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The 4th sign involves one of the most practical and powerful ways to trap someone: money. Financial abuse is a shockingly common tactic, appearing in the vast majority of domestic abuse cases, and it's often the #1 reason a person feels they can't just leave. It can show up in a lot of different ways. Maybe they insist on handling all the finances, leaving you with no access to bank accounts or even a clear picture of your shared money situation. Or they might put you on a strict allowance, forcing you to ask for cash like a kid and explain every single purchase. They might actively discourage you from having a job or even sabotage your career by causing scenes at your workplace or making it impossible for you to get there on time. The goal is to make sure you have zero financial independence. In more extreme cases, they might rack up debt in your name or force you to co-sign for loans, wrecking your credit and making it nearly impossible for you to get an apartment or even a phone plan if you ever tried to leave. This has nothing to do with them being good with money or taking care of you. It is a cold, calculated strategy to make you completely dependent on them for your basic survival. Without access to your own resources, the option to leave is almost completely erased. How would you pay a security deposit? How would you buy groceries? These are the real-world questions that keep people stuck. Financial abuse ensures the prison has no obvious exit, creating a sense of helplessness where you feel like you need them just to live. It's a leash, plain and simple, designed to give them the ultimate control over your life. Sign number 5 is a masterclass in emotional manipulation, turning your own empathy against you with guilt. A controlling partner is an expert at dodging accountability. Instead of owning their feelings and actions, they'll flip it around to make you feel responsible for their anger, their jealousy, or their unhappiness. You'll hear things like, "I wouldn't get so mad if you would just listen," or the classic, "Look what you made me do." This is textbook blame shifting that makes you the source of all their problems. This tactic gets even darker when they start making threats of self-harm. A partner who says, "If you leave me, I'll have nothing left to live for," or who directly threatens to hurt themselves, isn't expressing undying love. They are handing you the responsibility for their life. which is an impossible, crushing weight to carry. It creates a paralyzing fear that if you choose to save yourself by leaving, you could be blamed for a tragedy. This is emotional blackmail, full stop. It preys on your compassion. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, where each person is responsible for their own emotions. In a controlling dynamic, you're made to feel responsible for managing your partner's feelings. You start walking on eggshells, constantly changing your behavior, not to make them happy, but just to prevent an explosion or another guilt trip. You feel like you're always doing something wrong, even when you have no idea what it is. This isn't a partnership. It's a hostage situation where your well-being is held captive by their emotional instability. Sign number 6 is the partner who keeps a running tally of every mistake you've ever made. They are the official historian of all your past wrongs, no matter how small or how long ago. In a healthy relationship, you resolve conflicts, you forgive each other, and you move on. In a controlling one, your past slip-ups are stored in a vault, ready to be brought up in any future argument to prove you're the one at fault. Did you forget to run an errand? They'll somehow link it to that time 3 years ago when you were late for dinner. This isn't about solving problems, it's about maintaining power. By constantly throwing your past mistakes in your face, the controller reinforces the idea that you are flawed and they are the patient, forgiving one. It keeps the power dynamic tilted firmly in their favor. It's their way of saying, you have no right to be upset with me because look at all the things you've done wrong. It immediately shuts down any valid point you might have and keeps you in a state of forever being sorry. This behavior makes real intimacy impossible. You can never feel truly safe or vulnerable because you know anything you say or do can and will be used against you later. It creates an atmosphere of contempt where conversations aren't about understanding each other, but about winning. This constant dredging up of old wounds is exhausting and does serious damage to your self-worth. It makes you feel like you can never be good enough to make up for your past sins and that you're just lucky they tolerate you. That feeling of being indebted is another heavy chain locking you into the relationship. The 7th and final sign is maybe the most obvious violation of all, a complete and total invasion of your privacy. This is the partner who demands the passwords to your phone, your email, and all your social media accounts. They'll probably sell it as a rule of total honesty, saying things like, people in love have nothing to hide. They'll go through your private messages, check your call history, and maybe even track your car's mileage or go through your receipts. And let's be perfectly clear, this has nothing to do with transparency. This is a massive violation of personal boundaries and proves a complete lack of trust. It's the ultimate power move, basically stating that you have no right to a private self. You're not allowed to have thoughts, conversations, or friendships that they haven't personally approved and monitored. This behavior suffocates any sense of autonomy you have left. It's the digital version of being physically followed everywhere you go. The psychological effect is crushing, constantly reinforcing the message that you can't be trusted and must be watched. Living under that kind of surveillance is incredibly stressful and puts you in a state of high alert. You become scared to have a normal chat with a friend because you're terrified of how a word or an emoji might be twisted. A healthy partnership is built on a foundation of trust. A relationship that requires 24/7 surveillance isn't a partnership, it's a prison where the warden reads your mail. So let's recap the 7 signs. The constant check-ins, jealousy that's called passion, criticism disguised as help, the financial leash, weaponized guilt, constant scorekeeping, and a total invasion of your privacy. If you found yourself nodding along, feeling that uncomfortable knot of recognition, please hear this. You are not overreacting. You are not crazy, and you are not alone. What you're feeling is real. The confusion, the exhaustion, the sense of walking on eggshells, those are the completely normal reactions to being in a system of coercive control. The long-term damage of a relationship like this is the slow, quiet erosion of your sense of self. Constant criticism, blame, and monitoring can make you internalize the abuser's voice, leading to deep self-doubt that can stick around long after you've left. You might struggle to trust your own judgment and have a hard time trusting others, but I promise you, healing is possible. The journey back to yourself starts with small steps. It starts with giving yourself the same compassion you'd give a friend in your shoes. It means slowly reconnecting with the hobbies and people that make you feel like you again, that support network that may have been pushed to the side. Most importantly, it's about taking back the pen and rewriting the story. You are not broken. You are a person who has survived something incredibly difficult, and you are now on the path to healing. Recognizing these signs is the first huge step. The next is getting support. Your safety and well-being are the top priority. If you feel unsafe, please reach out for help. We've put links to resources in the description below, including domestic violence hotlines and information on finding therapists who specialize in this. A professional can give you tools to challenge the negative thought patterns and help you process the trauma you've been through. Thank you for being here and taking the time to watch this. If this video was helpful, please think about sharing it. You truly never know whose life you might change. Subscribe for more content dedicated to understanding psychology and building relationships that aren't prisons, but safe places where you can finally flourish. Remember, you deserve to feel safe, respected, and free.